Good morning, kids. I have sent you another book for Aunt Becky's Book Club, and I am excited that I had it on my schedule to read this book and make the video today because the book I've got is called The Snowy Day. And we got snow last night here in Minnesota. Let's see, today is January 22nd of 2019. We got snow last night, just a little bit, and we're supposed to keep getting it most of the day today. So it's going to be enough snow that school was called off. All of the schools around our farm are called off for the day. Samantha, some of you, it's your cousin Samantha. She is a teacher in Rochester, Minnesota, and they had snow day in Rochester, so she didn't have to go to work today. And so it's always kind of fun when you go to bed one night and you wake up in the morning and snow, and especially if school gets called off. If you're a kid that goes to school, that is always kind of exciting to find out, I got a snow day! Unexpected surprise. Another thing I want to point out on The Snowy Day, the author and the illustrator are Ezra Jack Keats. And this book, Mr. Keats, he won an award for this book. And you'll see there's kind of a little sticker on the front of your book. And that is called the Caldecott Award. Caldecott Medal, they call it. And the illustrator, the Caldecott Medal is given out each year to an illustrator of a book that has been published the previous year. So this book was actually written in 1962. And then in 1963, a big committee decides which picture book is going to win the Caldecott Medal. And in 1963, the year after this book was written, they decided to give that medal, that illustration medal, to Ezra Jack Keats. And you'll start noticing if you go to the library or if you have even some of your own books at home, I bet you look through, you'll have a few that have a picture of this medal. And the illustrator actually gets, it's like a big coin. It's an actual medal that they get. And it has this same picture on the front. There's a man on a horse on the front of it. On the back, there's a picture of 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. So, Caldecott Medal, and a fun story for a snow day here in Minnesota. So let's start. Snowy Day. If you first open up, there's also a list here inside the front cover. There are several other books about the boy in this story, and so you might want to check those out. And then some other stories and books written by Mr. Keats. So we see a little person trudging through the snow. We know it's snow because you can see his little footprints. If it was a plain old sidewalk, you wouldn't see those marks in the snow. Oh, and a page full of snowflakes. The Snowy Day. And again, the Snowy Day. And here's the little boy sliding down a hill of snow. Let's see. Most authors dedicate their books to somebody. And so Mr. Keats dedicated this to Tick, John, and Rosalie. I don't know who those people are. Okay, here we are on the first page of the story. Can you see that little boy? He's sitting up in bed. He looks almost like me. I haven't even gotten out of my PJs today or my robe, and I'm wrapped up in a blanket down below here. Just kind of fun to be all cozy and snug in your house on a cold, snowy day. And here is the young boy. His name is Peter, actually, and he's looking out his window. Let's see what happens. One winter morning, Peter woke up and looked out the window. Snow had fallen during the night. It covered everything as far as the eye could see. Let's turn the page. After breakfast, he put on his snowsuit and ran outside. The snow was piled up very high along the street to make a path for walking. And I wonder if you've ever seen that. We had snow a few days ago too, and we went down into town, and trucks had been out scooping up that snow, getting it off the street, off the sidewalks. And so then sometimes you end up with these big, huge piles of snow. Sometimes in Minnesota, if we get so much snow that those piles just get out of control, they have to scoop it up in big trucks and they haul it out in the country, dump it in a farmer's field somewhere, just because it gets to be so much in town. Okay, so there's Peter. He's got a red snowsuit, and he's had his breakfast and ran outside to check out that snow. Let's turn the page. Crunch, crunch, crunch. His feet sank into the snow. He walked with his toes pointing out like this. So you can see on this page, he walked so his toes were kind of pointing out, almost like a penguin. But then he walked with his toes pointing in, like that. So then he turned his feet and pointed them in. So if you look careful at those footprints, you can see where he changed the way he was walking. And look at, there he is looking back to see his footprints in the snow. Then he dragged his feet slowly to make tracks. I sometimes do that. And he found something sticking out of the snow that made a new track. So do you see that? Here's his 2 feet. He's dragging his feet along. So there's no footprints, but it's just a long track. And then, hey, here comes another line, another track. Let's see what he found. Turn that page. It was a stick. So he had dragged the stick along with him, and it made another track. A stick that was just right for smacking a snow-covered tree. So even the trees get snow stuck in them. Down fell the snow, plop, on top of Peter's head. Look at that. Can barely see him peeking out there. Big old blob of snow. And he keeps on a-walking. Let's turn the page. He thought it would be fun to join the big boys in their snowball fight. But he knew he wasn't old enough. Not yet. There they are, throwing snowballs. That can be fun. But as a mom and an auntie, I'd say, oh, you gotta be a little careful throwing snow around. Because if you pack it real hard, that can also hurt if you have a real hard snowball that hits you. So Peter knew he probably wasn't old enough to be in that group with the big boys yet. But someday. So Peter made a smiling snowman. And he made angels. Those are fun things to do with snow too. Build a snowman or flop down. Wave your arms and your legs. Make an angel in the snow. Fun. He pretended he was a mountain climber. He climbed up a great, big, tall, heaping mountain of snow and slid all the way down. That's fun. Turn page. He picked up a handful of snow, and another, and still another. He packed it round and firm and put the snowball in his pocket for tomorrow. Then he went into his warm house. Right there, I think, uh-oh, what's going to happen to that snowball in a nice warm house? He told his mother all about his adventures while she took off his wet socks. And he thought and thought and thought about them. Everything he'd done in the snow. Look at that, he's in pink bathtub. I don't think I've ever seen a pink bathtub. And he's got a little rubber duck. That's nice. So that probably felt good. Come in from the cold, get your wet socks off, and get in a nice warm bathtub. Woo, fun. Let's turn the page. Before he got into bed, he looked in his pocket. His pocket was empty. The snowball wasn't there. He felt very sad. Crawled into bed. Wonder what he's dreaming about. Let's turn the page. We might find out. While he slept, he dreamed that the sun had melted all the snow away. But when he woke up, his dream was gone. The snow was still everywhere. New snow was falling. Look at the big smile on his face. He's raising his arms. Yeah! Turn the page. After breakfast, he called to his friend from across the hall, and they went out together into the deep, deep snow. There we see them, the two friends. Oh, and look at how he has illustrated this page. He makes it look like that snow is really deep. Look at how tall it is compared to the little boys. Woo! And that is the end. All right, here on the very back cover, you can see a few other books about Peter that Mr. Keats wrote, and we'll read through this together. It's about Ezra Jack Keats. He was born in 1916, so that's over 100 years ago, and he lived until 1983. He is the Caldecott Medal-winning author of The Snowy Day, which broke ground in 1962 as one of the first picture books for young children to portray a realistic multicultural urban setting. What that means is that so many books for kids, this would have been like, 60 years ago, way before any of us were alive. It was very different then. And almost all the picture books for kids, they didn't show any children who had different colored skin or kids who even lived in the city. And so this book was very special when it came out because it was one of the first books where the main character was a boy with brown skin. And so that was a big deal back then. We hardly think anything of it today, but it was a big deal. Imagine that. If the only characters in books just had one color of skin, white skin. Yeah, so this was a kind of a big deal when this came out. Okay, so since it was first published, The Snowy Day has come to be regarded as both a children's classic and one of the most important picture books ever written or illustrated. Ezra Jack Keats' legacy lives on in the popularity of his most famous character, Peter, the boy we read about. The Star of the Snowy Day, Whistle for Willie, Peter's Chair, A Letter to Amy, Goggles, and others. And there's a website about him, EzraJackKeats.org, where you can find out more information. So that might be kind of fun to go to the library. I might even go to the library. I think I've probably read some of these throughout the years, but I don't really remember them. And so maybe I'll go get a few more Peter books by Ezra Jack Keats, see some of the other adventures that Peter had. All right, hope you enjoyed the snowy day. I hope that wherever all of you live, that you're getting to enjoy a little snow in the winter. And hope I get to see you soon. Bye.